All right, ladies and gentlemen, and 3D designers, we're going to create a holy grail in Blender. All right, the first question is, what is Blender? And I'm going to steal from this guy's video here because he does a good job of explaining all the different things it could do.
Know is a really powerful and absolutely free 3D program that is gaining more and more tractions and followers all over the world. It's a really fun tool that allows you to create, animate and render pretty much anything in 3D or 2D that you can imagine. You can use it to make your own film projects from scratch or add 3D objects to your videos to create cool visual effects, run physics simulations for rigid bodies, liquids, fire, smoke, explosions, cloth and much more. In this very first
Okay, so you can see it does a lot, and that kind of explains why the interface has so many things going on with it. All right, so answer these questions on your scoring guide. What is Blender and what is its cost? And what kind of things can you do with Blender? There's quite a few. You might want to rewatch that and figure it out. All right, let's get started with the Holy Grail. Okay, so let's go ahead and before we're going to open Blender, okay, and then this is what we're going to do. We're going to create two Holy Grails because there's two kind of different ways to do the same thing, and I kind of wanted to show that to you. So get Blender open, and we're going to take a look at that. And let's create the folder here. So I'm going to have you go into your folder with your name on it. You're going to go into Creative Computers. You're going to make a folder called 3D Design, and you're going to make a new folder called Holy Grail. And then inside there, you're going to make a folder called Asset. I got to make a new folder, and I'm going to call it Asset Grail. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get the three images that we need and stick it in the assets. Okay, so to get the pictures that we need, let's go to Google Classroom, go to the assignment called Holy Grail, right click, open a new tab. On this thing, we're going to click on the, what are we going to do? Oh, okay, I guess we'll have to do each one individually. So we're going to have to download this, download this, download this. Okay, and then we're going to open up this folder again, and we go into the assets, and we can drag, oh, let's do that. Okay, so we're going to have to show in folder. Okay, so I'm going to hit Shift and click on all these. I'm going to go to copy or Control C, and then I'm going to go into my Creative Computers. We're going to go into 3D Design. We're going to go into Holy Grail, Assets, and press Control and V and paste those in there. All right, so now we have all the files that we need. Okay, let's see what's next on our to-do list. Okay, so we saved all the images we needed in the Assets folder. Okay, we created our folder. All right, so we already opened Blender. Now let's create a general project. Okay, and we're going to edit the preferences and change that. Okay, so we're going to open Blender. So let's go, I'm going to go File, New. And I'm going to say General. For you, when you open up, so when you open up Blender, there's going to be a little dialog box here, and it's going to ask you what you want to open, and you just want to open up a general project. So I hit pause on the video and close Blender and reopen it because I wanted you to see what it looks like. So you're going to have this opening screen, and here's where you can open things that you've already had open, and then here's where you can open new things. Click on this. Let's open a general file. Okay, and then we want to set this up correctly. So you're going to go to Edit, Preferences, and basically you're going to go to CUDA, and you're going to click on the NVIDIA GeForce. So we have good graphics cards in these computers, and so Blender is kind of a resource hog, and so that's going to help it to render and make all everything work faster, basically. Okay, so go ahead and close that. Let's jump back over to the spiel and see what it says. Okay, so we're going to save it as Holy Grail in our folder. Okay, so let's go to Blender, and we're going to go File, and we're going to go Save As, and we're going to go into our folder with our name on it. Let's see how let's click over here. Let's go into our folder with our name on it. Okay, let's go to Creative Computers. We're going to go to 3D Design. We're going to go to Holy Grail, and we're going to give it a good name. I'm going to call this Holy Grail 2 because this is the second time I've done this, and we're going to hit save as. Make sure on this that you save. If I forget to tell you, make sure you save regularly. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to click on this. So we're just going to left click on this, and we can either hit X or we can hit the delete key on the keyboard, and we're going to delete that cube. Okay, let's jump back over here and take a look. All right, so let's take a look at how, oh, this isn't really, I should have done this first. All right, so the middle button will help you rotate. The scroll button will help you zoom. If you press the shift and the middle button, you pan, or you can use the navigation gizmo. So let's go back to Blender. So let's jump ahead because I had you delete that. It's hard to see what we're doing. So we're going to go, make sure you're in object mode, and you're going to click on add, and we're going to add a mesh, and we're going to add a cylinder back, and we're going to probably get rid of that. But at any rate, okay, if on the mouse, if you click the middle button and move around, you change the view. So click on the middle scrolly button and move around. If you hit shift and click the middle button, so I'm pressing the shift key on the keyboard and I'm pressing the middle button on the mouse, I can pan. Okay, if I just scroll in, if I just scroll the middle scroll wheel, I can zoom in and out. Okay, the other thing you can do is you can use this navigation gizmo. So if I click there, it looks at it one direction. If it clicks there, all right, and you can do any sort of thing like that. So you can play around with this. And then if you want to move the view or pan, you click on this. You actually have to click right there and then do it. Okay, so you don't click and then click in the screen. You just click here and do it. If you want to zoom in, you click here. Play around with that. All right, so let's go ahead and click on this and hit delete. Let's go back into the spiel and see what we're doing. All right, the next thing we want to do is we already deleted the cube. We want to add a reference image. So there's in Blender, there's hundreds of shortcuts. So I'm going to show you the shortcuts, and I'm going to show you just how to use the menu to do it when we can. All right, so Shift A. So we're going to hit Shift A or in the upper left corner, click Add, and then we're going to add an image reference. Okay. So the one way to do it is to go press. We can on the keyboard press Shift and A, and that will add. And we want to add an image reference, or you can come up here and click Add, and you can add an image reference. Okay, and so what we're going to do is we're going to go into our assets Grail, and we're going to add our 3 Grails, and we're going to load that reference image. All right, so these are the, we're going to do 2 that I was moving it around. Let me hit the Z and get us back here. So if I want to move it right to the center, I'm going to hit Shift, and I'm going to hit my middle button and get it right in the center, and then I'm going to hit my scrolly wheel to make that nice and big. Okay. And we have this thing right where we want it in the center. Let's go back to the spiel and see what we're going to do next. All right. So in the upper right corner by object mode, we're going to add a cylinder, or we can hit Shift A again. And then we're going to use the scale tools to move and scale it. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit Shift and A, or we're going to hit add. We're going to add a mesh object, and we're going to add a cylinder. Okay, and then on the cylinder, I am going to start off by, let's start off by scaling it. So I want to make it the size I want. Okay, and it's hard to see. I want to make it the size of this. It's hard to see, so I'm going to come over here. Here's my view. I'm going to change it to this view so I can see it better. So I'm going to move it. Oh no, I'm going to scale it. Okay, and then I'm going to click on the move tool, and I'm going to move it, and I want to get it just about right. That's probably a little bit too big, so I'm going to scale it down a little bit. I'm going to scale it down, Okay, I'm going to scale it this way, and I'm going to start at the bottom up, so I'm going to move it right about there. Okay, that's pretty close. That's pretty close to what we want. It's a little, seems like it's a little crooked. All right, before I go too far, I'm gonna hit this, and I'm gonna go like this, and oh, somehow I messed it up. So I'm gonna go to my scale, and I'm gonna drag this back and get this thing evenly shaped. Let me look at it right from the top. Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to this view. All right, so that's pretty good. Okay, so now we moved it and scaled it to where it looks good. So we can leave it in wireframe view, or we can put it back to here. I think we probably should keep it in wireframe view. All right, let's go and see what we're going to do next. All right, so we're going to add a second layer. So it's really easy to mess things up in Blender, because if you look at this, there's a lot of stuff. There's stuff all over the place, and sometimes you mess things up. And to make it easier, I'm just going to have us add a layout. So we're going to say add we're going to add a general layout, and you can leave it this, or you can call it in case I mess up. And it's going to just keep the user interface looking like this. So let's go back to layout. So this one you can see. Anyway, so in case I mess up, we can click on this, and it gets us back to our layout looking like this. Because sometimes it takes a long time to figure out how to get it looking like this. All right, let's go back to our spiel. All right, hit tab to switch from object mode to edit mode, and then press Control R to add and place an edge loop on the object, and then scroll on the wheel to add more control loops, and then we'll left click to commit. All right, what does that mean? That means we don't want this thing just to be squared like this. We want to make it curvy, right? So we're going to have to add some edge loops. So let's see what that looks like. So you can go like this. You can click on edit mode, or you can hit the tab key on the keyboard, and that's going to switch you between object mode and edit mode. Okay, so we want to hit the tab and get into edit mode, and then you're going to press Control and R, and you can see that it just added that thing. And I'm going to hit the scroll wheel, okay, and I'm going to add 4, or maybe we'll do 5. So I just hit Control R on the keyboard, and then I scrolled up on the scroll wheel to add 4 or 5 of these. Okay, and so if you click and let's turn off. If we click and look around, oh, did it not take? No, I forgot to click. Sorry. All right, let's try it again. So I'm going to hit Control and R, and I'm going to hit scroll up 1, 2, 3, 4. When what I forgot to do is I forgot to left click to commit, and I can move those where I want. I'm going to move the first one right there. Okay, and if we scroll around, you can see that we've added some loops to our project. Okay, and I'm going to click on that, get us back where we were. All right. So now we're going to left click or alt left click and select the individual loops to move them. Okay, so basically what we're going to do now is we're going to zoom in, and this one is shaped right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit alt, I'm going to alt click, and I've selected all of these. Or if you don't, you can either press alt and click and select, or you can click and drag to select all of these. Okay, so let's try it again. So I'm going to alt click on this to get all these, and I'm going to hit S. I'm going to press S on the keyboard. So you have to do it in a particular order. So I'm going to select this. I'm going to hit Alt, click on this to select these, and then I'm going to press S, and this little arrow appears, and I'm going to shrink this thing down to be the right size. Actually, I don't want to do that one. I want that one to stay as is. I want that one to be like this. Okay, on this one, I'm going to select this. I'm going to go to the move. I'm going to move it down to like right there. Okay, I'm going to hit S on the keyboard, and I'm going to shrink this one down to be the small size, about right there. Okay, and then I'm going to hit Alt on the keyboard. I'm going to click to select these. I'm going to move this one where I feel like it should go, probably like right there. Press S on the keyboard, move my mouse around until I can get it to about the size I want, right there. Okay, and then I'm going to hit Alt on the keyboard, and I'm going to click to select this whole loop, and I'm going to move it where I think it should go. Probably there is good. I'm going to press S on the keyboard, and I'm going to shrink it to the size I want, something like that. Okay, and then I'm going to press Alt on the keyboard, click on this, move it where I want it. I'm going to say there, press S, and we're going to make this the size we want it. Okay, so I'm going to need a couple more of the edge loops. So I'm going to press Control and R and click. And so I'm going to left click, and then I'm going to move this one where I want it, which is about right. Actually, I'm going to add a couple more. So I'm going to put this one here. Okay, and I'm going to hit S. I'm going to make this the size I want, something like that. And I'm going to press Control R. I'm going to add one here, up at the top, something like that. I'm going to press S on the keyboard, shift it to the size I want, something like that. And I think that's pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to hit Tab, or I can click on Edit Mode, and I'm going to look around and see how this thing looks. Okay, that looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. Okay, and so what we can do as well is we can put it in this mode and kind of see what it looks like, and that's a pretty good start. Okay, so what I can do now is I can go into object mode. I can right click and I can say shade smooth, and it gives it kind of a quick shading of what it's going to look like, and that is a pretty good start there. All right, I'm going to right click and I'm going to shade flat again. All right, so let's go ahead and file save, and that is the end of part 1.